Guys, it's Sue, your not so crafty crafter. I'm adding another video to our series, crafting, card making for beginners. Sorry, not feeling the greatest today, and I still think I've got a little bit of something going on here. I'm not sure. I don't think it's the flu, but definitely had some stomach issues this morning before I headed to work, so I called it a day. And then, of course, I got the phone call. My son came home sick, so whatever it is, it's going around in my house bad. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump right into this. One of my favorite ways to add texture and details to my cards is with heat embossing. Now, I did a video earlier showing how to use a cuddle bug to create dry embossing. Dry embossing actually changes the texture of your paper. Heat embossing adds another dimension to the top of your paper. The paper itself around it stays intact, but you're adding texture, color, shine, what have you, to the surface of your paper with heat embossing. To get started with heat embossing, you will need a few things, a few supplies. Again, if you know me, you know I'm all about not breaking the bank. Sorry, I'm looking for a stamp to use. I thought I had one set out. Of course, I can't find it, so I'll just use my little flower stamp here for right now, I guess. Anyway, you're going to need, first off, paper, of course, of some type. I just am using my white cardstock because I'm going to use some colored embossing powder here for you to really show what this can do. Second of all, you're going to need embossing ink and embossing powder. Now I'm showing some of the ones that I have here. These are my tried and true embossing inks. These are the ones I use the most. Now this is the Distress Embossing Inks from Tim Holtz. I do like this. You can see I use it a lot. My pad is grungy, but it's really, can you see that on my fingertips? It's really a moist pad and it doesn't dry out very quickly. You do get what you pay for in certain areas of crafting, that's for sure. The other one I use a lot is my Versamark. Now this is called a watermark stamp pad. Same thing. Look for something that's really sticky. That's nice and moist and sticky. Now, I do have a re-inker for this one, and I have used it on this. These two are brands that I bought that were less expensive. And they've been covered, they've been kept in the same space as these, and they're completely bone dry. Now this one I've had a while. I started this about a year ago, and what you're seeing is residue from the other one. Let's see if I can use a different finger. This one is really kind of dry. And I got this on Amazon. It was like $2.99, Top Boss. I'm sure it's a fine pad, but for me it dried out really quickly. And then this one is by Stampabilities, and this one I got at Hobby Lobby. Of course, you can see the price, $2.99 there. And this one is bone dry. Now, I've been saving this one for when I have to do something special because the pad is very clean. So I'll just add some of my re-inker when I'm ready to use that one. But definitely need a wet ink pad. The next thing you're going to need is embossing powder. The ones I have here, I have a box full down here by my feet. These are the ones I'm going to share with you because these are some of my favorites. Recollections has a great fine detail embossing powder, and I actually just picked these up last weekend and I haven't used them yet. This one is a detailed embossing powder in black, and this is a pearl embossing powder, which I've not used this at all. I've never even tried this type of embossing powder as far as the pearl. Some say it just adds, it picks up the paper of the color that you're using and puts a pearl finish on it. So we'll see. I don't have any colored paper here, so I'm not sure I'll get to demo this one just yet. But I'm going to use a black to see how it works. And then my other favorites, my all-time favorite is going to be Ranger. This was the very first one I bought. It was $5.99. I used a 40% coupon because I was looking for all things embossing the day I went shopping for this. This is called tinsel or snowflake tinsel. You can see all the sparkle in that. I use this a lot on the holidays to add that sparkle to things like snowflakes, but also just for, This would actually be great for wedding cards and anniversary cards because of that extra sparkle. But yeah, if you know me, you know I love my glitter, so that's a top one. The next one that I like to use a lot is Stampin' Up! Now I only have this one, and I got this when I was a demonstrator, but this is a white powder, and this actually is awesome. I love that one. And then I got this one. This is one of my new favorites as well, Lawn Fawn. Very fine. This is rose gold, but look at how fine the particles are on that and the glitter and the sparkle in that. And I got this. You can get this, of course, at lawnfawn.com. Probably Simon Says Stamp as well. I got this at Memory Bound in Ankeny. I made one of my trips up during the summer months when this first came out. They had it and I grabbed it because I love rose gold, but I wanted to try it because I've seen a lot of videos on it. And last necessity, these three things are necessities: your ink, your embossing powder, your heat tool. Embossing powder is wax and plastic, and it needs to be set. And basically what you're doing is you're zapping it with some heat from your heat gun, and it melts the plastic and it gives it a nice plastic finish. Mine is the Marvi Yoshida. Picked it up at Tuesday Morning for $10. Not that loud. A lot of people use the Wagner heat gun, and that's a top of the line heat gun. I want to say it runs about $35. But it's an amazing product, and if you can spring for that, jump on it. It's on my wish list along with some other higher end products because I'm starting to get into this more and more. So now, little extras. Actually, it's not really an extra. An embossing buddy. They have an embossing tool by EK Success, which is a cylinder with brush. It's got powder in it. This is anti-static powder. I know some people have made their own using baking powder or baking soda or baby talc and sewn it in a plastic or in a cloth bag. Basically what this does is it prevents static buildup on your paper. It removes static buildup. When you go to put this on your paper, if you do not use an embossing buddy, your embossing powder is going to stick everywhere. If you use an embossing buddy, once you stamp your embossing ink and put this on, the embossing powder is going to stick to the stamped image only. Okay, and maybe I'll do a demo on that. Also great to have on hand. I started out using a piece of cardstock folded in half, something to catch this on, because you're not going to sprinkle it on with your fingers. You're going to pour it right out of the jar. Have something for it to fall into. Put your stamped image over something and then sprinkle it. We'll do like this. We would take, and normally I would use a smaller piece like this. I would use a pre-cut piece of cardstock. I'd stamp my image, I'd do this, and then I'd shake it off into this so that I could just pour this back into my jar. There's also trays out there. I have this one up again at Memory Bound in Ankeny. It doesn't have a name on it, and it wasn't expensive. It was only like $2 or $3. They do have the tidy tray, which snaps up on the corner, makes a little tray, and then folds flat for storage. I didn't see that there. They may have it, but I didn't see it, so I grabbed this one instead. And it works the same way. It's got a spout so that when you're done, it just pours off. I guess that's it. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how easy it is to heat emboss once you have all of your tools. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert at this. You may see some blotchiness here, and that's okay. It's all good. Now, this is my Tim Holtz Distress embossing ink, and you really want to do a good job of embossing up your stamp. A great idea if you're using larger stamps. I'm just going to go ahead and first step do this so I make sure I remember, because I don't always remember to use this part. I don't always remember to stamp prep my paper with my embossing buddy, and then after I've poured it I wonder why, gee, it's all over the place. Ink up your pad really well. I use a lot of detailed stamps, and this is going to be very general. And then you're just going to, oh, that's what I wanted to say. I started to say, sorry, I'm on a tangent here. Having a stamping tool when you're using a lot of detailed stamps and embossing with those is a great idea, because if you miss an area with your embossing ink, you can always go back and re-ink it if you're using a stamping tool like your Misty or your Hampton Art stamping tool or your Tonic stamp platform. Since this is a wood stamp and it's very open, I'm not too concerned about it. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to stamp this down. I'm just going to leave it there for a second so I get a good impression. I don't know if you can see that. That's what they mean by watermark. If I left that and didn't do anything to it, it would stay that way, and it would be great for a two-tone if you're using a colored paper. But we're not doing that. We're going to add some color to this. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Lawn Fawn Rose Gold. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and bring this out here so you can see how easy it is to just use your basic piece of paper. Now, I've stamped my image with my embossing ink. Now I'm going to pour my embossing powder over that image. And then I'm just going to tap it off onto here. Now, one thing I always have close by is a small paintbrush, a small tipped paintbrush. You see this little piece right here? That's not part of the original stamp. And now you can flick it and most of your loose pieces will come off. But if there are small pieces, and this is such a fine powder you can't really see it, I brush them off with this little brush. And it's detail work, but it's okay. Now, I have my powder here. How easy this is to return it to its original container. Sorry. But that's how easy it is. And then I just flick the rest off. And I always recap my stuff because I'm notorious for reaching for stuff and knocking everything over. So the next step is to heat this and set it. And I'm going to try and hold this up close so you can see the change. I let my heat gun get hot for a few seconds before I bring it to the paper. And now I'm going to bring this over and zap it. And can you see that starting to melt? And that's heat embossing, my friends. I'm going to go ahead and do another one, and I'll do it in black so you can see. Now, I know I've watched a lot of videos, and a lot of people do white embossing on black cardstock when they're doing their sentiments, and it looks beautiful. It really does. You can also do black embossing on white cardstock. I do not have the Versamark black ink pad. So in my instance, what I would do is I would use my black ink. How am I doing this? And then I guess once that's dry, I would go over it with my stamping tool, leaving the stamp in the same spot, and go over it and heat emboss it with clear. I'm trying to work that out in my head. I guess I need to invest in a Versamark black, right? All right, well, we're going to go ahead and do this flower in black ink because I've not used that yet, and I really want to see how that works. Now, again, I'm stamping my pad up, my ink up. That one little piece that we had that showed up was the edge here. It's cut just a little bit higher than the stem itself. Oh, I probably ought to cut that away. I just cut myself. I sliced my finger on rubber. How is that even possible? Huh, that's weird. All right, well, anyway, let's go ahead and we'll do another one. Now, I don't need to go over it again with my embossing buddy. Once and done. And I've got about 6 minutes left, so let's be quick with this because I'm trying to figure out ways to get better quality video, and I think I actually need to get a video camera. This is just my regular digital camera, and it doesn't give me enough time to do a whole lot. So, again, this is our black detail. This is from Recollections. I'm going to go ahead I should have done it over this, but I'm going to go ahead and go like this. And you can see that same spot. That's where the stamp is. Now, you see when I flick that off, some of the ink came off. Very easy fix. Just put another layer on. And I may have to do this a few times because this is just not working for me. I guess I probably should have gone over it with my buddy again. Oh well, live and learn, right? But again, I have to put this away before I heat it because I will make a mess. And this is so fine and detailed, I'll never get it all. So let's go ahead and heat set this real quick, and then we will be done with this demonstration. Again, my heat gun, get it nice and hot, and bring it to the paper and watch what happens when the heat hits it and it starts to melt. Can you see that getting all glossy? That is just the coolest thing ever, and it gives such a nice dimension to your paper. Now, I want to show you something. Cool trick. Actually, not a trick. It's a very, very good lesson, though. And bring this up. Can you see that brown spot right there? I brought my gun too close to the paper, and it actually burned my paper. Another way to heat emboss to prevent that is heat from behind. And I didn't think to do that, I guess, in such a hurry. But, again, the intro to my video says that I learn by doing, and I share my mistakes. So there's a big one. That's all I have for now, so I'm going to sign off. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, click like, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you want to see more. And if you have suggestions, ideas, or questions, put them in the comments below. I try to answer as quickly as I can. I do have a full-time job, so sometimes it takes me a couple hours. And I do read your comments, and I do take your suggestions to heart. And I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. Thanks for watching. Bye.